endlessly searching for an original sound.
Let's see. Do we investigate or return to our room? Let's investigate. Hi, everybody. I'm going to muster the courage to look into this. But where should I investigate? My room is in the Yagi house. There are some rooms that I am not allowed to enter, but the captains live here as well, and I finally learned how to navigate the building. However, there was another building that was part of the headquarters for the Shinsengumi, aside from the Yagi house. Some of the leaders, along with other warriors, live in the Maikawa house diagonal from Yagi. And Sanan, who's injured, has been holed up in the Nambu residence located behind Yagi. Nambu residence located in the back of the Yagi residence. Sanan takes refuge here after suffering injuries and is later used to hide other furies. Since it's a residence, one cannot just stroll there casually, and since it is barely used by anyone other than Sanan, it is a little isolated. If there are secrets being kept from me, then they have to be kept in a place I'd never think to check. If I were to look into it, it would either be in the forbidden areas of the Yagi residence. What should I look into? Why, the save button, of course. Once I was quite sure everyone in the Yagi house was asleep, I made my move. So far, so good. Luckily, I was able to get to the entrance without anything happening, and I sighed with relief.
何が良かったの?
The surprise of seeing someone froze me.
君も大胆だな。僕たちの目を盗んで逃げ出そうとするなんて。
Okita, well, I'm not...
一体何が違うのかな。こんな夜中に人目を盗んで部屋を抜け出すなんて。脱走以外考えられないんだけど。
Look, well, it's not like that. How was I supposed to explain it to him? The more I panicked, the more I choked up.
冗談だよ。もし君が本当に脱走したら、切っちゃえばいいだけだし。
What?
逃げたところでどうせ、行くあてもないだろうしね。
You're right. He was right. Even if I somehow managed to escape the Shinsengumi, I would lose my best chance at finding my father.
何にせよ、さっさと部屋に戻りなよ。子供が遊ぶ時間じゃないんだから。君だって、あらぬ疑いをかけられて切られたくないでしょ。
Yeah. Maybe Okita was right. That it was reckless of me to investigate the serum. And thoughts swirled in my head before Okita spoke again.
もし怖いものを見たら、すぐに声を上げて助けを呼ぶんだよ。一人で何とかしようなんて思わなくてもいいから。
Huh? He sounded rather serious for a moment. What do you mean by something scary? What could I run into in the Shinsengumi headquarters that could be as scary as he thinks? He looked almost surprised for a moment, his face breaking into a weary grin.
そうだな。怖い夢とか、お化けとか、鬼副長なんてのもあるかもね。
That does sound scary. If Hiji found out that I was walking around the compound without permission... I'm going to go back to my room now.
そうそう。おとなしく寝てるのが賢明だよ。僕は中庭をもう一回りしてこようかな。
Okita started to hum as he walked away. I didn't expect to be found, especially by Okita of all people. There was no way I could sneak into Nambu house behind his back. Maybe I could investigate the Yagi house before going back to my room? Wait. I was so surprised I hadn't stopped to think. Why was Okita up so late? It was as if he expected someone to leave the Yagi house, but there was no way he could have known I would try. If not me, then who? It was night at the Yagi house, and dead silent. I tiptoed down the hall as quietly as possible. Huh? Were my ears playing tricks on me, or did someone just walk into the common room? I would be in trouble if someone saw me, so I did my best to blend into the shadows and hide. After a few minutes of heart-pounding seclusion, my curiosity got the best of me. I departed my hiding place and crept towards the common room. I peered inside. It was Sennen. I wonder why. Something felt wrong, and I just stood there. What is Sennen doing here late at night? I was at a loss. Should I speak to him, or... Before I could make up my mind, he turned.
まさか君に見つかるとはね。正直予想していませんでしたよ。
Sennen gazed directly at me and uttered.
雪村くん、そこにいるのでしょ？出てきなさい。
I guess he spotted me. I gave up and made myself visible to Sennen. I'm sorry if it seemed like I was snooping or watching you what you were doing.
別に叱るつもりはありませんよ。夜中に怪しい人影を見かけたら気にかかるのは当然でしょうしね。
Huh? It was very subtle, but I noticed something was off in Sennen's attitude. He had a peaceful smile, something I hadn't seen for what felt like ages. It was a bit too peaceful, as if his worries had all suddenly left him. It was an expression I have never seen since he had gotten injured. Sennen? Did something good happen?
ええ、ありましたよ。というより、ようやく決心できたと言うべきでしょうか。
Something swished in his hand. Sennen? What is that?
これが気になりますか？
After his cryptic reply, he showed me what was in his hand. Sennen was holding a small bottle made of fine idro. Fine idro refers to glass. It's also called poppin. The glass was filled with a crimson liquid that looked like a poisonous chemical to me.
これは君の父親である光道さんが幕府の密使を受けて作った薬です。
What? The Shogunate ordered my father to do something?
もともと西洋から渡来したものだそうですよ。人体に劇的な変化をもたらす飛薬としてね。
What do you mean by utterly transform?
単純な表現をすると筋力や自己治癒力の増強でしょうか。
It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. If such a thing were truly to exist, the serum would be considered a miracle cure, but...
しかしこの薬には致命的な欠陥がありました。
His smile twisted only a little.
強すぎる薬の効能が人の精神を狂わすに至ったのです。薬を飲んだ人間がどうなったか。
Of course I'd seen the results of that madness the night I first met the Shinigami. Shinsengumi. I was gonna do that eventually. Okita and Saito had killed off that monster with the white hair.
君は察しがいいですね。そう。あの時の大妃たちですよ。薬を与えられた彼らは理性を失い、血に狂う化け物となり果てました。
His words brought a sharp chill down my spine. How horrible.
斬り合いの最中、血が流れるたびに狂っていては、 強靭な肉体を手に入れた意味がありません。行動さんは新選組という実験場でこの薬の改良を行っていたのですよ。
No! My father, conducting experiments on human beings that made them go mad at the sight of blood? I couldn't believe it. No, I didn't want to believe it. But there was no reason for Sennen to lie either. I saw it before my very eyes. Then did father really... Sennen shrugged off my disbelief and continued.
しかし残念ながら彼は行方不明となり、薬の研究は中断されてしまいました。行動さんが残した資料をもとにして私なりに手を加えたものがこれです。
He smirked and shook the bottle gently. The liquid inside sloshed from side to side, almost lazily.
その原液をできる限り薄めてあります。
I had so many questions to ask him, but I didn't even know where to start, so I simply spoke the first thing that came to mind. If you drink that, will you be okay? So that serum, will it prevent you from going mad?
まだわかりません。誰にも試していないものですから。
His smile faded.
ですが、飲めば私の腕は治ります。
Oops. You mean you're actually considering taking it? He had no guarantee that it would simply kill him, that it wouldn't simply kill him outright. And even if he did survive, it might drive him mad. Sennen, please reconsider this. I'm sure there's some other way. You don't need to rely on the...
こんなものにでも頼らなければ私の腕は治らないのですよ。私はもはや用済みとなった人間です。普通の大使まで陰口を叩いているのは知っています。あなたにはわからないでしょうね。大いなる志を持って同志と共に江戸から登ってきたというのに、何の役にも立てぬままお情けで重職を与えられている私の気持ちなど。
How could you say it's pity? You're a leader here. The Shinsengumi respect and need you more than ever. Sennen's eyes darted with melancholy, flashing a brief smile that entertained the idea behind my words.
よく覚えていますよ。私は剣客としてもこの新選組に必要なのですよね。
Sennen seemed bitterly focused on the words Hiji said earlier. They really did affect him.
剣客として死に、ただ生きた屍になれというのであれば、人としても死なせてください。
No!
失敗すると決まったわけではありません。そう分の悪い賭けではありませんよ。
Sennen smiled as he said that, but there was no way to know what might happen to him. Considering the worst that could happen, I couldn't sit by and allow him to do this. I guess we could try persuading him first. I still don't think you should take that serum. There's a higher chance that it'll fail, right? If the others knew that you were here doing this, they would all try to stop you.
確かに東堂君あたりは落胆するかもしれませんね。彼は人がいいですから。
I thought at first that he was beginning to reconsider, but my faint hope was shattered at the words of resignation.
もし私が死んだら東堂君によろしく伝えてください。
What?
君にまで同情されるとは私も落ちたものです。
Those were his last words. He suddenly gulped down the red liquid stored in the fine hydro. I am very curious what happens if you click the other one. Nope. Why did I do it twice? Senan came to hate himself for being unable to fight alongside his comrades and friends. Even if they forgave him, he never forgave himself. But
君にはわからないかもしれませんね。
was it the sort of thing only a fellow swordsman could comprehend then? How could I convince him to listen to me? It was then, in that moment of helplessness, that I remembered Okita's words.
もし怖いものを見たら、すぐに声を上げて助けを呼ぶんだよ。
Of course. I could never know what Senan felt, but another man devoted to the sword might. I screamed as loudly as my lungs allowed, my voice echoing down the halls and across the courtyards of the compound. Okita! But even as I cried out, Senan drew his head back and drained the vial in single draught. No! With a sort of clink of the glass, it rolled from Senan's palm to the floor of the common room. His face warped in pain and he collapsed to the floor. His hair began to turn white. We're getting Japanese vampires. It became clear to me that his pain was something no ordinary person could handle. Senan, you have to hold on! Through his fingers he saw his maddening eyes. Before me were the eyes that greeted me on that first night in Kyoto. Behind me, I heard the door slide open. Senan looked behind me, over my shoulder.
沖田君ですか。
こんばんは、三男さん。
It seemed like Okita didn't even look at me. His eyes completely focused on Senan. Then, briefly, the small bottle on the floor. But then before back at Senan. Yay, we picked the good one.
教えてくれてありがとう。
Okita, Senan is... Senan stared at Okita, his breath ragged and pained, like air struggled to stay in his chest.
見ての通り、実験は失敗です。沖田君、お願いできますか。
ええ、わかってます。
His expression flashed into a familiar grin. Even after Okita drew his blade, it still didn't occur to me what was about to happen. The polished tip of Okita's blade was pointed directly at Senan.
安心してください。きちんと僕が解釈してあげますよ。
飲み込みが早くて助かりますよ。さすが新選組の剣だ。
Senan exuded calm to the sound of Okita's response. I held my breath, unsure if I wanted to see what was about to happen before me. Okita? You're not serious, are you? You aren't really gonna kill him, are you? My voice shook with disbelief, and Okita's eyes paid me no attention.
君さ、やめてくれないかな、そういうの。よそ者は黙っててよ。
But wasn't Senan his commander, his comrade, or his friend? Everyone seemed to give their heart and soul to the Shinsengumi, but not like this.
鬱陶しいんだよ。新選組大使にでもなったつもり。
He didn't even move, but his tone hit like a slap. I'd been living with them for so long that my initial fear almost completely disappeared. I felt like I found a place for myself.
忘れたって言うんならもう一度言ってあげるよ。君は利用価値があるから生かしてあげてるだけで、僕たちの仲間じゃない。
His words shattered my already breaking heart. But just then... Senan screamed in pain and I saw him kick to the floor. Then I heard a horrific sound, like meat like meat being cleaved and resounding through the darkness. Peeking over Akita's back, I heard the loud thud of a body collapsing to the floor, and around Akita's foot pooled the dark red puddle of blood. Sennen? I was trembling as I watched the blood trickle.
近づかない方がいいよ。
Okita's arm appeared in front of me coldly. What? But why? I gave him a reproachful gaze, but he showed no signs of faltering.
何度も言わせないでくれる。近づくなって言ってるでしょ。深手は負わせたけど、また襲いかかってこないとは限らないしね。
Huh?
あの薬を使ったら、この程度じゃ死ねないんだよ。
So Sennen is still alive? Okita nodded bitterly, his body locked into a defensive position.
死ねないって言ってるんだから、生きてるに決まってるでしょ。
I was relieved from the bottom of my heart. Oh, thank goodness! This was good news, however. Didn't mean we could let our guard down. Sennen could lose his sense again and potentially mortally wound us. But for now, at least, Sennen is still alive. After Sennen collapsed, the captains rushed into the room. They must have heard the commotion from the common room. Everything glowed white after, and I realized that I was in a daze. None of their words stuck in my ear, and I wobbled back to my room.
まったく手間がかかる子だよね、君って。
Okita had taken me back to my room, and I heard him as soon as he opened the door for me.
説明してくれるかな。どうして三男さんと一緒にいたの？
Okita was never particularly pleasant to me, but his tone was even harsher than usual. I felt like there was someone in the common room. I was curious, so I had a look, and I found Sennen in there. Okita's lackadaisically response seemed disarming, and he just scanned me. Although my mind had cleared somewhat, it was still difficult to keep my thoughts organized. One, however, rose quickly to the surface. Is it true that my father had something to do with that stuff that Sennen drank?
三男さんから聞いたの？それ。
Yes, he said it makes you stronger, but it drives you mad. He fixed his eyes wearily on the ceiling above us, sighing before eventually answering my question.
君は薬をここに持ち込んだ人の娘だし、狂った大使とも実際に会ってるし、少しぐらいなら聞かせてあげてもいいかな。本当なら殺しちゃいたいところだけど。
His manner of speaking was far removed than his usual joking self as he mentioned killing, but this time it felt like he meant it. Or he could kill me at any time.
薬のことについて何か質問ある？
I desperately searched for words. Why did the Shinsengumi get involved in something like this?
僕たちの役目は今日を騒がせる不逞労使を取り締まることだけど、簡単な仕事じゃないっていうことぐらい君にだってわかるよね。
Yeah. Among the Ronin, there are plenty that are actually skilled swordsmen. When I was on rounds, I saw many such men fighting and dueling amongst themselves.
今日に来たばかりの頃はとにかく人手が足りなくてね。僕たちの名前なんて全然知られてないし、給金だって満足に出なかったからさ。入隊希望者なんてめったにいないし、たまに来ても得体の知れないゴロつきばっかり。そんな時、幕府の人が薬の実験を持ちかけてきたんだ。
An experiment? That must have been what Sennen was referring to. So you knew what the side effects were, and you still made them take it?
もちろん、彼らも承知の上だよ。新選組にはね、局中ハットっていうのがあるんだ。
Rules of conduct, Shinsengumi regulations that were to be strictly obeyed, as the penalty for disobedience was honorable suicide. It was also referred to as the code.
隊をまとめるための決まりみたいなものなんだけど。それに背くと、即切腹を申し付けられる。
Cut yourselves open?
あれ？何驚いてるの？武士の責任の取り方って言えば、切腹しかないじゃない。
Traditionally, when samurai disgraced themselves, they drove their swords into their bellies. I had thought such traditions were obsolete, and that now the worst they do is pretend to cut themselves open with a fan.
でもまあ、どうせ死んじゃうんだし、最後にもう一度役に立ってもらった方がいいでしょ。だから、切腹するか、薬を飲むか、好きな方を選んでもらうことにしたんだ。かわいそうだよね。本当に。
I couldn't think of anything to say. What sort of choice was that? Death by your own hand, or madness and death by someone else's? The men that I'd encountered that winter night had their last thoughts as men been hope they might have survived the madness? It sounded horrible.
簡単に強くなれる薬があれば便利だよね。実際は全然大したことなかったんだけど、僕たちでも簡単に切っちゃえるぐらい。
In a moment, I was taken back to the fateful night when Okita dispatched the warriors with white hair without any effort.
三男さんはこれからどうなるんだろうね。
I was worried too. Was Sennen okay? Would he change? My stomach was twisting itself into knots. Well, and so the long night broke, and that's where we're gonna leave it, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode. You guys are all awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody!